How do you move on from the happiest moments of your life? The strange thing about happiest memories is that they rarely stay that way forever. Sometimes they become reminders of everything we've lost. When we first meet Lucy again, we see her struggling in a battle against Adam's smasher. Only in fending him off do we find a way to escape. An escape that looks all too familiar with what happened in the story of Edge Runners. We kind of find out that before she landed herself in Solaris, she had woken up from a nightmare, unable to sleep due to memories of losing David. Having escaped to the moon, she still finds herself unable to move on. It is only in our happiest moments do we find solace in the life we live. But it is these moments that seem to chain us down, when the memories are but reminders of what we have lost. Even after everything and finally escaping to the dream she wished for, what was lost still continues to haunt all of her happiness. No matter how much one struggles to take a step forward, most days the steps only carry the same despair we felt when we first lost what we held dear, slowly polluting and corroding every memory that seemed so happy. Yet even when our eyes close, all we are reminded of is the emptiness of the room, the absence of warmth, the lingering dream of him coming back, only for our eyes to open once again to the same empty room, like a nightmare that never ends. Starting every day, not where she is, but where she was, where she wants to be, and the happiness that could have never lasted forever. The coolest thing about grief isn't that it takes away the people we love. It's that it slowly teaches us to fear the memories that once made us the happiest. Yet despite everything, the only reason why Lucy ended up in Solaris was recalling the fondest memories of David that brought her just enough comfort to finally rest. A rest that would imprison her here. These memories are what keeps coming back to save her. Every time, an endless loop of the same day playing back again and again. As Lucy slowly opens up to us, we begin to see the David she remembers. Not the legendary mercenary everyone else admired, but the ordinary boy behind the chrome. The casual conversations, the house they shared, the stories he told her about his mum. Memories too small to matter to anyone else, yet too precious for grief to erase. But perhaps that's what makes them hurt the most. The memories we treasure the most are often the ones we are desperately wish we could return to. And the more Lucy reaches for these moments, the further she falls. The dream that once brought her comfort slowly becomes another prison, and even met with memories ever so small, Lucy helplessly reaches further towards him, only to once again fall deeper into the depths of her loss. It is our greatest wants that are often the smallest things our mind hides from us. And maybe that's how she finds herself in Startosh Academy, creating a dreamscape that engulfs the entire academy. Perhaps a subconscious desire for a life where she and David could have met on different terms, living a normal life together, going to class together, because isn't that how she first met David? A boy who was still in school, working tirelessly. It's poetic that her dreamscape will engulf an academy of all places. The place David chose to leave became the place Lucy secretly wished they could have experienced together. They create memories like ordinary students could, not because their life together was meaningless, but because deep down, maybe Lucy always wondered what their happiness could have looked like if they had just been given more time. Lucy dreamed of an ordinary life. But the truth is, the life she already had wasn't empty. Often when you look back on Edge Runners, it's easy to remember how it ended. The tragedy, the loss, those moments weren't the story. They were only the ending to a happiness brighter than any of them ever imagined. Especially Rebecca. Rebecca wasn't just a rival to Lucy for David's love. She was a companion, a friend. Rebecca represents everything before the loss. The gigs, the adrenaline, the laughter, the chaos, and eventually, the time David started to show Lucy how to live. She was a lively person who never cared much about the opinions of others. And even when it came to her own detriment, she always chose to support Lucy. Because she understood that David wasn't just different. He was someone whose love could rebuild a person. So when we first meet Rebecca again, already throwing herself into the fight, it almost feels like nothing has changed. The loudmouth girl was never afraid to speak her mind, never afraid to act, even up until her very last moments. A life that refused to be extinguished. Even in the darkest of times, throughout the story, we see Rebecca struggle to find the right words. Yet she continues trying to be there for Lucy, remembering the best parts of David, the man who in his final moments refused to lose anyone else and instead chose to lose himself. And then it finally hits her. The truth Lucy never wanted to tell her. Rebecca died too. But she already knew that. She knew from the very first moment she appeared within Lucy's nightmares. And somehow, none of it mattered. Not when she died, not how she died, but because if her actions could still change something, then that was enough. Just as it has always been. She reminds Lucy that although the people they loved are gone, they are not lost. Because their very existence within this dream means Lucy still remembers them. That there are still words left unsaid, still feelings left to reach, still a future worth walking towards. Exactly as how Lucy remembered her. A life that shone so brightly that even as it was being extinguished, it chose to spend every last moment giving that light to someone else. The one person who had every reason to choose herself yet chose kindness instead, so perhaps it's only right that Rebecca becomes the one to remind Lucy that when she wakes up and none of them are there anymore, she still has to keep living. Not for David, not for Rebecca, not for anyone else, but for herself. It's almost painful to remember that every version of Rebecca, no matter how much she'd reached out, she could never reach David because it was never meant to be her. And somehow the love never became resentment, it became support for the one person who could reach him. A love so pure that it was never her own happiness that mattered, but his, and in turn, the happiness of the person he chose to love. A purity that no one in Night City could ever replicate. But Rebecca, that is who Rebecca is. She's the embodiment of the happiness David shared with Lucy. Perhaps that's why the second fragment belonged to Rebecca. Because before Lucy could face the day she lost everything, she first had to remember why those days were worth living at all. The final fragment is different. Unlike the others, it wasn't lost. It was guarded. Because some memories don't disappear. They become prisons, and for Lucy, that prison was the day she lost David. The day the world stopped moving. But perhaps the cruelest part, David and Lucy were more alike than she ever realized. Both of them spent their lives carrying a dream that wasn't entirely their own. David was someone who could never wish for himself. He who only knew how to carry the wish of others. And Lucy, her dream was never really about the moon. The moon was just an escape. A place far, far away from the life she had been forced to endure. Away from the pain, away from the loneliness. A place where nothing could reach her anymore, where it didn't matter if she fit in or not. A dream so far beyond her reach that she never believed she would actually see it. Then she met David. A boy who didn't just take her to the moon but made her believe that she belonged there. Someone who took a dream that was once only an escape and turned into something she wanted to share with him. The boy who made the impossible future feel tangible. The boy who gave everything he had so that she could finally reach it. And perhaps that's why his death broke something deeper than losing him. Because Lucy didn't just lose David. She lost the reason she wanted tomorrow. And that's why Adam Smasher is different from every other memory Lucy carries. Because Rebecca reminds her of the happiness she had and David reminds her of the happiness she lost. But Adam Smasher reminds her of the exact moment that happiness ended. Because trauma doesn't erase or change our happiest memories. It traps them behind the moment we lost them. But maybe moving on was never about escaping that moment. Maybe it was about finally being able to look back at it without losing herself. Because David never wanted Lucy to spend her life chasing the past. He wanted her to have the future they never got. The future beyond Night City, the future beyond the pain, the future on the moon. And for the first time in a long, long time, Lucy wasn't returning to David's memory to escape reality. She was returning to say goodbye.
I couldn't wait for you to come and clear the cupboard. But now you're gone and leaving nothing but a sign. Another evening I'll be sitting reading in between your lines. Because I miss you all the time. Yourself to know and let yourself go. You know you do lose your self-control. It's not the right way. Turn away. I know the way to be.
But it was a good dream. That I know.